Breaking news once again on the YouTube home for BamaOnline.com. Travis Reier, senior analyst for BOL, alongside site publisher Tim Watts, and of course, down there in the center square, our great friend, senior recruiting editor Andrew Bone. Guys, big news on the offensive line front once again for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Another big commitment. This time, Tim Watts, it is a legacy target, also an in-state target, but an important one nonetheless. And Mal Waldrep, the big interior offensive lineman from Phenix City.
We've been getting a lot of questions. When will the offensive line kick in? The deep class so far has been kind of defensive heavy when you look at it. Got, Keelan Russell a little while ago and then added, obviously, awesome Michael Carroll yesterday, and then come in and get your big six. Now you measured 6'5" and a half, 325 pounds. So this is a big guy playing in one of the best high schools in the state. When you look at him, he's going to project inside. He's one of those guys that's going to be interior lineman. I've had a couple of college mention him at actually center, which is interesting. We've seen some big guys, and I mean Ryan Kelly wasn't that big out of high school, but kind of grew into that role. We've seen Landon Dickerson kind of move into that role. Guys that played tackle ended up at the center position. So this is a big guy. Clemson really wanted him. Been kind of quiet for Alabama for the last till the last few weeks, the last month or so, but it really picked up, and Alabama's 2 for 2 this week on offensive line commitments.
Yeah, Tim, I like the comps. I'd also maybe throw Bradley Bozeman in there. He's
Very
a guy in the past, Andrew, that we've seen in this type of spot. And the offers, you guys have always said it, Tim. I know you have for years. Follow the offers. And if you want offers, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Auburn. This is a guy who had no shortage of suitors when it comes to that, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, and he was a priority target for a lot of those schools, especially Clemson. Visited Clemson 6 or 7 times. Yeah, they were really pressing hard to get his commitment. Took a visit there on May the 31st. He was also scheduled to visit Florida this weekend, and was also scheduled to see Tennessee on the 21st. And those were really the contenders in his recruitment. Narrowed it down to a top four in May, and narrowed it down to a top four after Chris Kapelovich, Alabama's offensive line coach, went and met him on April the 24th. And this was a big visit for him because it was the first meeting with Coach Cap. Coach Cap arrived a little bit later on the coaching staff. If you guys remember, Scott Huff was originally the offensive line coach at Alabama, and then he left, went to the Seattle Seahawks. Coach Cap wasn't hired until February the 19th. So the dead period had hit. There was no spring evaluations happening. Mal Waldrep, I wouldn't say got lost in the shuffle, but Coach Cap needed to go see him, and he was one of the very first guys he went out and saw. I think it was the very next week after the A-Day game, he went out and saw him. I met with him, told him, hey, you're a priority. You're an in-state kid. We like you. I like your size. Like the way you've been recovering. He had a labrum surgery after his junior season. Had a great season for Central High School, and then had that labrum surgery shortly after. And they wanted to see him again. And as Tim mentioned, great size, over 6'5", 325 pounds. Came in for the official visit this past weekend, and I know Clemson was probably pretty nervous about that visit, and they should have been. And obviously, Alabama was able to get his commitment today.
Yeah, family ties, I guess, to both those programs, right? Clemson and Alabama, but in the end, it is the Crimson Tide that wins out. And Tim, let's take a look at what Alabama is getting in Mal Waldrep. And so many of these guys, offensive linemen on the high school level, as you both know, seems like a bunch of them play tackle. That's the case here with Mal Waldrep. You see him circled there at the left tackle position, shows a little pass drop and then attacks and gets the pancake right there. You like to see that both in terms of aggression. Helps this guy up too. Good sport about it. It's not personal, right? It's just business. And then continuing to work at that left tackle position, you'll see him do a pretty good job in pass protection there on the left side. Ball needed to come out quick against pressure. Yeah, Tim, I think you hit on it earlier. You think about the versatility that this guy might bring to you as well.
Yeah, his feet, he's got nice footwork if you watch him. He's really good on that edge. And look, when you're a big guy, when you're 300 plus pounds, it could take a guy one of our sizes to get around you. Just the quickness off the ball and the snap around there to beat him. He does a good job of keeping his feet in front of him. So when you move him inside, it's going to be a little bit easier. You're not going to be having to worry about guys on the edge or blitzing guys or any of that kind of stuff. But I do like the fact that we've seen two extremely nasty football players on the field in this offensive line class, Michael Carroll and Waldrep. When you look at them, they're both, you don't want your son out there getting body slammed. I think it's almost worse to help me up after you've done it. So I think that could actually be a little psychological ploy. But I will say college coaches love to see this. And again, on the film, because on the field, because off the field, I mean, they have great reputations. They're good guys. Mal's a pretty quiet kid in himself.
Yeah, it looks like an IHOP out there with all the pancakes we see on his huddle tape. And so, Andrew, when you think about Mal Waldrep and we watch him and see the skill set to go along with the size, and you think about what Alabama has already done in this class at the offensive line position, uh, coming together nicely, I'd say, in terms of if you wanted to field a 4 or 5 together just in this class, it's shaping up again to look like Alabama could do that quite well.
Yeah, I think they've done really good as far as getting some great interior players in Waldrop and also Michael Carroll. I mean, those are two big pickups for Alabama this week, coming off that official visit weekend. We talked about it heading into last weekend. They had three offensive linemen on campus. They'd only had hosted one, Ty Haywood, the previous weekend, and they had three guys on campus this past weekend. They were able to get two offensive line commitments, the first two in this class. So I thought that was really, really good. What's going to be important over the course of the next couple of weeks is how are some of these other visits going to play out. You got Jackson Lloyd coming into town this weekend, one of Alabama's top targets for a long time out of California, going to be making that official visit. But you also have to watch some of these visits elsewhere. Ty Haywood came in on May the 31st. He's got an official, a big official coming up to Oklahoma on the 21st. So that's one that we're going to continue to watch. Douglas Utu out of Bishop Gorman came in this past weekend. What's going to happen with him? I think Alabama's got a great shot with him as well. So, Micah DeBose, another kid that has already taken an unofficial visit to Alabama this summer and is going to be coming in for an official on June the 21st, and he's going to be at Ohio State this weekend. So there's a lot of moving parts that we're continuing to watch. We talked about it the other day, but Alabama was looking at 3 to 4 offensive linemen in this class. I think with the success that they've had so far this summer, that number has kind of grown. They're not going to just take anybody, but if they can get the guys that they want, and they've hosted some top players already this summer, they can get some of these guys on board, especially at the tackle position. They're going to take more than 3 or 4. I think they could get 4, but they might extend that to 5.
Yeah, Tim, it
Yeah.
almost looks like tackle to tackle, just checking boxes here as we move along through this process.
Yeah, I mean, we've discussed it several times how important the offensive line is, and this is kind of like similar to when Nick Saban, when the Alabama recruited defensive backs, because you didn't just have your defensive back coach or your coordinator, you had your head coach. I think with Courtney Morgan and Cap, I think you're getting a double dose of evaluation and recruiting and effort, plus whoever else had a relationship with them. But I think the biggest thing here is you don't want to be in a situation where if you miss on a guy, you don't have a backup. Alabama certainly hasn't done that. There's nobody that there's a spot where they don't have somebody else they're recruiting at. And again, you wanted to be first or you wanted to be last in many of these situations. And I think they rolled the dice and it came up big. I think they were second for Michael Carroll and got him locked up, had him committed and everything else. You get these guys coming in. We haven't talked a lot about Malachi Goodman, but I mean, that's a guy that's the kind of visit could be a Chuck McDonald visit. These guys are hosting official visits very well. And I'm not saying it will be, but we've seen a lot of guys we weren't talking about as much as other players at that position, like Chuck McDonald, who came in, blown away, locked it down, came back the next week on an unofficial to recruit and commit to Alabama. So I think we're watching at this stage. I mean, the official visits, are going really well. They obviously know how to roll out the red carpet, so to speak. And again, we can't mention enough how well they are with the parents, the mentors, the coaches that come with them, and everybody else. So just recruiting in itself, they seem to have a really good system and program that they're working right now.
And we would also like to remind you, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel as of yet, we certainly hope you'll do that. Hit the subscribe button for us. Also, turn on those notifications. You'll get all of our YouTube content as it drops. Hey, we're always up for a like too, right? How about a like while you're at it? That would help us
Take it.
out a good bit. Andrew, so what are we looking at now moving forward as we continue to move through this week? And as you said earlier, understanding not just limited to offensive line, but so many moving pieces. Um, Give us a thing that you're kind of eyeballing, got your ears open for here in the next few days.
So Alabama had a high school football camp on Monday. They're going to have another camp on Wednesday. That's going to be a 7-on-7 camp. So you're going to have a lot of high school teams, from really all over the country that are going to be competing in a 7-on-7 camp on Alabama's campus. And one kid that's going to be coming back for the third time in almost a week is Naheem Alford, five-star cornerback out of Parker High School. And he's going to be down there with his team, but Alabama coaches are going to be out there. They're going to be watching. They're going to be interacting with kids, and you can certainly expect that Alabama is going to spend a lot of time talking to Naheem and watching him pretty closely during these 7-on-7 events. And then, of course, you have the big official visit this upcoming weekend.
Tim, what do you got for us? Anything as we get out of here? Are you good?
No, I think that what we're seeing is what we kind of expected based on the spring. You saw that they kind of had all their ducks in a row, so to speak, very quickly, and now we're seeing the official visits are the same way. I mean, we're talking a lot about the offensive line, but I don't think it's a coincidence that they got their quarterback, and then a few offensive linemen have fallen into place behind them. I think Russell's going to be the kind of guy, and he said, "Hey, I want to commit. I don't want to take other visits. I'm ready to recruit." I think he's a guy. Again, there's a lot of street cred that goes with being one of the best quarterbacks on one of the best teams in the state of Texas. People recognize you. He's also got that Elite 11 flavor where he's going to be up there competing, trying to be the top quarterback in the country. So I don't find it a coincidence these guys kind of fell in line in the next week. Fell in line is probably a bad term, but they've all kind of felt like dominoes after you got your quarterback. And they've got more on the thing, a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak. And the other thing is some of these groups could grow simply because, like we said, you're at the point you're going to have players too good to pass up. And Saban did this. I think most staffs do this, where you say, we want 4 inside backers, right? But Ty Jackson's too good to pass up. We want 3 or 4 offensive linemen. We're not turning away Jackson Lloyd, probably Malachi Goodman, Micah DeBose, Ty, or Ty. So we're at that stage now where you want to be, where you're having to make tough decisions on what guys you take and who you take them over. So that's exactly where the staff wanted to be.
I'll tell
And
you
you're
what.
sorry,
Go ahead,
Travis.
Andrew.
I was also going to say, piggybacking off the Keelan Russell, we're already seeing some movement there. I mean, Khalil Lockett, 5-star wide receiver out of Texas, who we hadn't really even discussed. Coach Shep went out and saw him back in January, has not mentioned Alabama at all over the course of the last couple of months. He's just set an official visit date with Alabama for next week. So getting Keelan Russell on board last week already paying off in a big way.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
I think a lot of the doubters or opposing teams saw he was committed to SMU, but that has no bearing on who he is or what he is. And no offense, SMU did a great job of recruiting him, but he's a guy that could have chose from plenty of big name schools at the end of the day. So we're seeing that reputation carry over.
Pretty good reputation for these two guys right here when it comes to talking Alabama recruiting. Oh, just about 45 years combined experienced on that topic. And they're with us at BamaOnline.com for more from Tim Watts and Andrew Bone. The roundtable, our premium message board, that's where you want to post up. Do it right now. And also, of course, we'd appreciate it if you would also subscribe to our YouTube channel right here as well. Tim, Andrew, great stuff as always. I get the feeling we might be doing this again soon.
Yeah, we might be. You need more cowbell. You got the favor. We get some more cowbell. Yeah, we'll get
cowbell, babe. Yeah,
still the best Saturday Night Live bit
Bruce
ever.
Dickinson, absolutely. All right, for Andrew Bone, for Tim Watts, Travis Reier, thanking you once again. The big news: offensive lineman Mal Waldrep has committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. Until next time, so long, everybody.